Hello everyone, greetings for wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to Black Mental Health Matters, to yet another episode of physical exercise, meditation, and yoga. And today we have guests who are going to take us through about this thing. You know, we have experts. We have a self-care expert. We have a Zumba expert, and hopefully we shall have a meditation expert coming on board, though she's still preparing. Today we are going to have part two of physical exercise, yoga, and meditation, all this into mental health. This is going to take us through on the importance of physical exercise and all that. Probably, if need be, they will do some Zumba for us, or maybe they will do some exercises for us on the show, so that we are able to understand what exactly does Jerry do, what exactly does Noel do, so that tomorrow if I wake up to jog, I know I'm jogging for a better mental health, because these things, just wake up, you jog, and maybe you're going to cut maybe like 1 kilogram of fat, or even less. So we are going now to learn how do we do this so that we maintain a better mental health status. So without taking much of your time, I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves, though right now there is a face that you've seen before and there is a face you haven't seen before. So we shall start with the face that's new, and then the face that's old will come in later. So today we are going to, change the laws. We are going to do gentlemen first and then ladies next. So we shall start with you, Noel. Can you introduce yourself to the viewers out there, and then we can proceed with the topic.
My name is Noel Miller. I'm an expert in self-care. This generally means restoring of health. So this can mean essentially mental health, emotional health, or physical health. And the idea is that we're making the right ties to each so that we can live a healthier lifestyle. Lifestyle is kind of the foundation on which we build our health, and we have to make sure that is supporting what we want to achieve, or we're going to have this frustration. Often when people come to fitness specifically, and exercise and fitness is just small progressions towards your goal, and self-care would be small progressions towards growth in lifestyle, leading to health as well. So when people come to fitness, they're often seeking change. They want to do something different. They want to get to some place. However, they're already at the point of frustration. So then they lead to something that looks very accomplishment-like, which is fitness. Often this leads to kind of short-held goals because we don't have the right motivating factor behind it to really get us to where we need to be in a sustainable way. So essentially self-care hops in there to make sure that when we make the change, it's sustainable and we can continue to have the health that we want throughout our lives. And we can always learn a lot. There's always a crossover between mental health, physical health, and emotional health. They must work together to create the sustainable thing that we're talking about. So that is essentially what I do in a short nutshell, I guess.
So Noel, thanks for the good introduction. Uh, you have sound in the background. Sound. You can reduce your sound. Can be mute. Okay. So Jerry, have had you here before, but still would like to know who you are. Noel, please mute. So Jerry, you've been here before, but we still would like to know who Jerry is. Maybe today she has come with a new name, or maybe she's or maybe she's someone different from the person we had last time. So kindly introduce yourself and then we get into that topic.
Thank you so much, Claire, and thank you, Noel, for that introduction. My name is Jerry Opoka. I am a Zumba fitness instructor and wellness coach. I basically teach dance, but then what I do with the dance fitness is I try and I encourage the people who come to the dance class, first and foremost, to drop any goals that they, people normally come, like Noel said, people come, they want to make a change. And sometimes if they don't have the right, the right foundation, they come with, short-term goals. They want a very quick fix. They want to get to where they want to get very, very fast. And I also realize that sometimes we don't really understand where we want to go, because you come in with a preconceived mindset. So while we dance, I encourage them, the ladies and the gentlemen in the class, to drop all expectations. Let us first discover who we are right now, what we want out of life today, because that then guides where we want to go. And our tagline is, you are enough, regardless of what your story is, regardless of where you are. Then when you learn to appreciate you like that, and you're more confident about yourself, you're body positive, regardless of where you are, you love yourself, then you can start making small changes that you appreciate every day. You enjoy the journey, and you find that, it's not the 10 kilos off that is going to be the thing that makes you happy. It's your general wellness, it's your mental wellness that you were actually looking for. And when you find that place, it is the best place then to start setting the goals to take so many kgs off, or to make complete lifestyle changes, because then it's easier to maintain that new regime that you will have, you have brought up, done for yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Jerry, for that brief introduction of yourself. Now, Noel, I'm going to start with you gentlemen first. This show is one of those other shows that people have not yet seen. Now we are changing the laws here and there. So, Noel, when you say you're a self-care expert, when you say you're a self-care expert, someone's going to question themselves, because us as ladies, when someone says I'm undergoing self-care, to mean I'm taking a shower, I'm putting on something clean, I'm doing some makeup, and to look good, that is self-care to us women. If someone says I'm taking care of myself, so when it comes to mental health, what exactly does self-care entail? Kindly unmute.
When it comes to mental health and self-care, we have to always keep in mind that there's a cycle that happens. So when we're thinking of taking a bath, what does this really do for us? It alleviates stress, right? This is essentially an emotional thing. When we alleviate stress, we can see clearly. So what are we really doing when we're doing self-care? Is we're looking for bits of things that restore who we are. So as ladies, I'd look at a place that, where's our most stress coming from? This might be social expectations. This might be the feeling of getting everything done or nurturing everybody, the husband, the kids, the work, and all these kind of things, and say, how's that taking away from my overall health? If I'm not able to think clearly and have a mindset that supports my kind of growing towards who I actually am, and I'm just being pulled by all these separate roles, then I won't ever get to a place that's sustainable for the kind of health that we want to have. So in that way, we want to look at what mindset accomplishes this, as well as what actions also bring forth this thing out of me, and what things are stressing or taking away from these actions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Noah, for that input. Jerry, welcome back. Sorry for the
Thank you.
network issues. Sorry for the network issues. I understand I'm in Uganda, so I know the network can be on and off, on and off. But that's understandable. So last time we discussed Zumba. You told us Zumba, people dance to music and all those kind of things. But now the thing is, was we are doing part two of this show because people are so much interested in knowing if I'm to do Zumba, how should I do it? And what is Zumba itself? You know, is Zumba, because you said it's a fitness dance. Should I assume it is some kind of belly dancing, some kind of break dance? What kind of dance style is Zumba? What should someone? How should someone dance when they're dancing Zumba? How should they do it? Probably you can even show us practicals. We don't mind.
So, first of all, thank you for that question. I'm going to just give you a brief background of Zumba and the origin of Zumba. There is a gentleman called Beto as in Roberto, in Colombia, who was an aerobics instructor. And he had his playlist of nice, funky aerobics music. You know, when you do aerobics, the music is slightly faster than normal. Like they, make it faster. So he traveled to a different town to do a big aerobics event. And when he got to the other side, he realized he did not have his music, and he did not know what to do. There were loads of people, and he decided to play his favorite music, his favorite ordinary music, and incorporate some Latino dancing to to that music, and for the people to follow. He tried to make it as simple as possible, but also so much fun. And they had such a fantastic time, and that is how Zumba was born. Now, when he a year after that, he traveled to the States and found someone to help him market and brand this new thing that he had discovered. And as they say, the rest is history. It's now all over the world. And what we do is we do a fusion. For example, we in Uganda will do an African fusion. We'll do all kinds of music and then add dance. So there'll be a bit of African type dance, there'll be a bit of Latino dance, there'll be a bit of hip hop, reggaeton, anything. It actually is you just dancing. It's you just allowing your arms to move, your legs to move, your body to move in whichever way the music commands you. And in my class, a large number of the songs that we do, the routines that we do, about 70% actually come from the students who come to the class. So after they've done a few classes, they'll say, oh, I was listening to this song and I just felt like this move, this move should go in here. This is what we should do. I encourage them to do that. And so they come and teach. So it is not anything in particular. We just dance. In fact, we just party every single day. So just move your body, allow the music to, get in and take control, and the rest will just happen naturally.
Oh, so I think I should start right away. I can dance. I can just play my music and
You
dance and
should.
dance.
You
So
should. And anyone who's born into this world can dance. You've seen babies, they can barely sit, but when a song is playing, they start bobbing, back and forth, rocking themselves back and forth. That is exactly it. So everybody, once you allow the music to come in and take charge, you will dance. You will naturally dance.
so how come some people tell me that I don't know how to dance? And yet I know that I shape my body. Yeah. How come people be like, Claire, you don't know how to dance? Why do
There's
they say that?
nobody, there's nobody who does not know how to dance. There's
Okay,
absolutely
okay.
no one.
I know that me and Noel, after here, we are going to have some dance routines so we can Zumba. Yeah. So Noel, getting back to you. You talked about self care, and when I asked you a little bit earlier, you said people are going to do self care basing on how they would want to feel mentally or physically or something like that. So you said mental health, emotional health things should come together in order for someone to feel better. How is there a different way of taking care of myself, of having that self care for a better mental health from what I should do for a better emotional health? Or is it the same routine?
I think that the routine is always same. There's something called experiential learning, which happens to do with this kind of doing something new, taking in that experience, coding that differently emotionally, and then moving on to a new thought, and then acting out that thought in real life and getting a new experience from all those things kind of working together. This is the best model I've found to really express what self-care is like. This is by James Zoll. You can look up his book. But really, we do need to understand that the language of emotion is different than the language of the mind, which is different than the language of the body. And we do need to know all three to get to what the synergy of those things are. So, for example, the emotions are symbolic in nature. This is kind of an overall understood thing. So when we get drawn to, let's say, dance, this is something that's expressive to us. There's something that we need out of it. What are we trying to get? We might try to find a new expression in life through dance, and that allows us to speak more to how we're really feeling. Are we feeling restricted at things at work or in the family? Do we want to try a new style of doing things? This is a symbolism. We can take that from dance, bring it into everyday life, lifestyle, and start making those changes to more reflect who we are. So I might speak up a little bit more at work or to my family, voice how I'm feeling. This going through the physical experience of dancing into now a more verbal change of my environment at home or at work, where I'm now speaking about it. And this creates a different outcome. And people might say, I never knew that you're such a talkative person. You always seem so quiet. So I never really asked your opinion on these things. So this is kind of how it's working. And physically now you have a different mood, an action, a standing, a stance on these things. And this now will change all the energy that was used up before, emotion being energy coming from within and coming without. Then we have more energy for our other challenges, the things that were bigger than that challenge. And this allows us to express ourselves even greater in different aspects of life.
Okay. Thank you so much, Noah, for that. I'm looking at a man and a woman who are interested in doing a self-care approach to improve their mental health. Do they have the same approach to self-care, or are there routines for women? Are there routines for men? What exactly should a man do that a woman shouldn't do, or a woman should do that a man shouldn't do?
In this sense, I'm going to say it is the same, and then it isn't the same. So I'd say it's the same in the sense that we both, on either gender, whoever you are, we want more expression. We want to balance out the emotions. We want to balance out the thought, the way we solve for our challenges. We want to solve for something that's sustainable. Generally, if it's going to be sustainable, it will be healthy. So for guys, if we're looking at the kind of social pressures of kind of in 2020, we're going to say it's a challenge of being strong and feeling solid in yourself, but also being emotionally expressive. This is very kind of two sides of the same coin. And it's a challenge to navigate the emotional realm. Let's say, for example, a boy or man grows up not really expressing too much emotions in the way of communication. We'll get angry, we'll get frustrated, we'll feel not heard. These are things that will happen. But as I become more grounded in my emotional understanding and fluency in communication, I will be able to say how I feel. I might feel sad, upset, overwhelmed, overburdened. I might feel unheard or ununderstood. I might ask for sympathy, understanding, compassion from my partners, my loved ones, my children. This is not very a comfortable feeling for a guy. We should have it all together. We should know what we need to do, and we should do it. This is not true. We are the first time that we are our age now. If you're 30, this is the first time you're 30. If you're 80, the first time you're 80. You don't know what's supposed to happen, how you're supposed to do it. It's all new and exciting. And we have to make sure we're exploring, like you said, Gary. We want to make sure those things are important for men. For ladies, this might be kind of similar. You might have an expression. You might want to take on a new trade. You might not want to work this thing or that thing. We might want to more or less keep some of our energy. As ladies, we generally like to help and give. The best lesson for a giver is to give to self. This is very challenging. And it has this kind of back and forth thing when we think of self-care. We're like, obviously, I know how to take care of myself. I am my age. I've been doing it for so many years. Absolutely not. In fact, in history, there is no documentation of self-care. However, We have strategies. Everything comes from self-care. Physiotherapist, massage therapist, chiropractor, osteopathy, dancing. These are things that are soothing to the soul, to the person, allows them to express and become themselves. But that's not really written anywhere. So we have to know that nobody knows self-care. We are discovering it for the first time ourselves, and we're working on our own platform. There are universal things. If we are creative, this is also creating new activity, right? New influence, new things. We don't put our barriers like, I'm a man, so I don't do that. I'm a lady, so I should be quiet and calm. These things are more or less social environments, and we can break out of them. And as we break out of them, we become more whole, more solid in ourselves. Often in the aging process, we become wise, quiet, understood. And in this way, we see the errors of our earlier selves, and experience is needed to do that. Only with experience do you have the right use of self-care and being able to show this to others through our actions and our kindness of words. We now can see us in other people, the challenges that they're going through, the young ones. We can see it, we've been there. So we give them the words we wish we had, and that calm place to come and express.
Okay. Thank you so much, Noel, for that. Jerry, today I have hot questions for you. I don't know if you'll be able to answer. Today I have hot
Bring
questions.
them on. Bring them on.
Yeah, that's why you came back on the show. Last time we discussed, I remember asking you if I'm depressed and someone else is undergoing an addiction, and we both want to do a Zumba. Should we have a different type of Zumba each one of us should do, or do we do the same things? And you said that Zumba, you just choose the kind of Zumba you want to do you as a person. But no sooner had the show concluded last time than a friend of mine came on and said, Claire, you know what? I've had depression for this while. And when I told my friends about it, they could not believe it because, I mean, people are going to judge you. They're going to tell you, those things don't exist. These things are like this. These things are like this. I don't know. I told her, there is this woman, she does Zumba. I think if you want to do dancing, it could help you out. And she actually told me, I don't know how to dance. I'm like, man, you can shake your boot, you can dance, you can just maybe lift your leg and dance and do that. She's like, no, that one's going to irritate me. I mean, I'm just going to maybe to feel a little bit tired without getting what I want. And I remember telling her if she could join you in the gyms that you usually go to so that she can she can feel a little bit some kind of relief. I don't know if she came or she did not come. But my question comes back. If someone is depressed, I'm going to focus on depression. If someone is depressed and they approached you because they think you can help them overcome a depression, what kind of music should they dance to, or how should they actually undergo their Zumba? Because I've seen some of your videos that you do. They are quite nice. I actually want to join you one of these days. I'll be there one of these days. But if I'm depressed, what exactly should I do? Because people want to know if I'm depressed, if I'm a drug addict, how should I Zumba to get myself out? How should I? So probably should maybe break it down for us.
Okay, great question. And I think, Noel, I love what you said, about the physical changes that you do when you do things in fitness and how they then play out in other facets of your life. This is also, it speaks to what I'm going to explain now. When somebody is, for example, going through a mental health challenge, ideally what's happening is, first of all, you have like a mental fog. You're stuck in a place where you've had so many, recurring thoughts over a long period of time that you cannot see clearly through them anymore. So there's a sort of dense energy around your mind, and that dense energy is sitting around your spirit or your soul. That dense energy is sitting around your body. That's why when you're depressed, you feel lethargic, you feel like literally heavy. You do not want to do, the things that you used to want to do. You don't want to think about things you used to think about. So when you are in that state, you probably sleep more, or you're just you're just heavy. There's just a thickness around you. Now, that thickness that you have in your mind, in your spirit, is also in your body eventually, because everything we have in the body is a manifestation of what's happening to us on a spirit level. When you start to move your physical body, you are starting to shake up that energy. And as you shake up the energy, it becomes lighter, it becomes loose, the heaviness starts to go away. In the very same way, when you start to shake the physical body, the mind, that mental fog, the thickness of that thought starts to loosen, and you start to see things a bit clearer. That is why when things you could not speak about, when you start dancing, suddenly you go out and you feel like it's okay to speak about them. I love when we do the dance classes in the studio. The locker room or the changing room conversation is absolutely fantastic. After we've just danced, people are saying things that they would ordinarily never say. I've had ladies talk about issues in their marriages that sometimes would leave me, like, in my head, my jaw drops, not because of the depth of what they are talking about. It's because they are actually talking about it. Ordinarily, these are things you would not hear. And when one person says it, another person says they've experienced it, suddenly 4 people have experienced, and this one person who started, you can literally see them, they're looking like, wow, it's not just me. So what do we do? I've seen people decide after a few months that they're going to leave a toxic relationship. I've seen people decide that their wellness and their happiness and their joy should not be pegged on somebody else. It's their own responsibility. And they say, I am going to make my life work. I'm going to make my marriage work. I'm going to make my job work. I'm going to make my family work, because it's my responsibility. It's my happiness. It's my life. So when somebody is suffering from depression, it's really important that we take them away from that denseness. Now, I always say there is hardly any situation in our lives where we're going to need to stand up, roll our waists, drop on our, do a drop down, put your hands up, spin around. There is no situation. So when you go to the dance class, just the fact that you're doing all these crazy fun things shakes up that energy. It is not what you normally do. And when you come out of there, you feel like a new person. When you come out of there, your perspective on life is completely new for a period. That is why when you do it consistently, you start to widen that period, widen. And then when the dark thoughts start to come back in, your mind is clear and you can tell that that thought is not true, that one is true. If this dark thought is true, you're no longer allowing it to control you. You start to question, why is this situation here? What can I do about it? That means you start to get kinder to yourself because you have clarity. So that is what the dancing does. And when I dance, one thing I didn't say is that I do, before COVID, for 4 years, I did a dance class at the National Mental Institution in Uganda, the National Referral Hospital, with the patients. And oh my goodness, that class would, for lack of a better word, it would bring out the absolute best crazy in all of us. We would scream, we would jump. I mean, when the class is over, we are hugging, and then we would ask the patients in the hospital why they're there and what they feel. I mean, the joy and the love would always be on a super special level. So then I know that that is what physical activity does. And not only restricted to dance, any physical, if someone says, I do not dance, and they are so adamant, listen, do anything, walk, throw your hands up as you walk, go out in nature. But anything to shake the physical body shakes the clog in the mind.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. But I'm just thinking in my mind, if I came to Zumba today, Yes, I've Zumba'd and, I've shaken myself off. My hands are in the air and I'm enjoying, yeah, I'm feeling the moment. Yes, that moment it is done. That date is done. We have hugged and all that is done. What about when I go back home? I sleep and whatever has been attacking me comes back. Should Zumba be my daily routine? The way people take medicine for eternity if they have diseases? I mean, how should I approach that kind of thing?
Okay, so two things. First of all, it's very important that when we realize that we are struggling, we must seek professional help. Professional in the sense that there are people who have gone to school and dedicated time, money to understanding the mind and how it works and how it, takes us down a certain path and so on and so forth. They know how to fix it. But doing the physical work, remember, unclogs your mind. Doing the physical work unclogs those, it takes you out of that cycle, the thought pattern that you're stuck in that is negative. So you start to see clearly. That means when you go back home, you will still carry that energy with you. The clarity that you have, that you have acquired from doing this activity, you still carry with you. And that's why it's very important to do this every day. Also, the human body was not made to not move. Everything about the human body is supposed to support movement. Now, we have muscles. Our muscles are to help us move. So when we don't move the muscles, they start to waste away. And when the muscles don't move, that means blood does not move. When blood does, or rather the muscles, when you move your muscles, that energy, your heart works faster. When your heart works faster, blood rushes through your system faster. Your blood that was thick from inactivity gets lighter. When your blood is lighter, oxygen is now able to go to parts of your body that it was not supposed to go. And when that is happening, toxins are able to come out of the body through the blood. When you sweat, they come out of your sweat glands. So you can see that the system is only working optimally when you are moving. So if all the physicals are working right, the mind automatically has to work right. Now, even when you go and see a doctor, what they're telling you starts to make more sense because of the clarity in your mind, because of the lightness, because of the positive, energy that you have. And remember that when you're doing this exercise, also your body is releasing nice, happy juice into your system. The hormones that are coming in that are supporting you. So everything starts to work together beautifully. So yes,
Yeah.
when you move, it really is encouraged that you continue to move.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry, for that. But I've had a heavy lunch, so I think after here I should go to Zumba. So this lunch can. So
And
this
go
one,
down.
yes, exactly. After here, I have to go and Zumba as a must. So, Noel, you've been quiet for some time, so I have to get back to you right now. We are going to talk about fitness. In Africa, we have always had some sayings. I think they are from the 80s, and those things have been transferred to our present situation. Like for example, our girls are not supposed to be riding bicycles. If you ride a bicycle and you're a girl, you lose your virginity. I don't know the science behind that. But personally, I rode a bicycle. I don't know if I lost my virginity. So I don't know if I still have it or not. Then climbing trees, when you climb a tree and you're a girl, you have to lose your virginity. I don't know how it happens. But man, I climb trees. I had to eat mangoes from those trees. So I don't know if my virginity is still intact or out. We shall talk about that. But if I look at if we're looking at self-care, I mean, there are people who like riding bicycles, to do away with the thoughts. That's the way with how they do self-care. If I'm having these bad thoughts, I have to go and grab a bike. I go on the road, I ride. Or probably have to go and, maybe cycle. In Uganda have borders in Uganda. Those are motorcycles doing transportations around the city. Even as we ride border, but by the way, even me I can ride a border. if you, Jerry, if you ever meet me on a border, do not ask yourself why I'm there. I can ride the border. Yeah. So, in terms of self care, if is it practical for us, like for all genders, to do those things? Can look like small things, like riding a bicycle, or maybe having this motorcycle and riding. I mean, how I mean, to what degree do such small activities contribute to our mental self care?
I think that whenever we do an action, we have to grade it on a scale of how does this contribute mentally, physically, or emotionally. And these are the true values of any action, essentially. So when we ride a bike, this might be great to clear our minds, get us focused back again, and kind of do away with the things that are bothering us. However, we need to also know that this is an emotional expression of what internal thing has to change. So we're riding the bike to feel free. How can we feel free when we're still? This is going to have the highest nutritional value of mental, physical, and emotional growth or health in it. So we have to think then, how can we embody this thing, right? So the body wants to move. If it's always moving and not stopping, this is not good. We're going to burn out our resources. If we're always thinking and not acting, we're over leaning on that mental aspect. Like Gary was saying, I liked your point there about this heaviness of the body slowing down. What is the body trying to say when it slows down? Sometimes in the beginning, it's saying we need a new way of thought to solve this. We need to be still, sit and be still, right? And this now we're supposed to open our minds at the same time. However, often we put on Netflix or some kind of TV or some kind of distraction, so we don't get to the true thought. And if we're facing a problem we don't know the answer to, but we think we should know the answer, this is going to cause lots of stress. Realize you don't know the answer, and the only way to get it is to do new things, new energy, and new movement and blood flow and activity. These things will happen, and then you'll start to slowly start to see these different um, thoughts pop into your head, right? It's kind of like if you were to put a drop of poison into a cup, you might be in some big trouble. But you put that same drop into a lake and you're okay. So the more experience we have, we're going to be okay. But if we're stuck and we're not moving, our thought is stuck, meaning how we solve the problem is not coming to us. We need to seek new experience. You might see a grandmother walking across the road and say, how beautiful is that? She's still out here doing her thing, and I want to be that way, inspiration. Or you might say, you know what? How lovely is it to be out in the sun? Being out in the sun is so great. And you share that with somebody else. They say, yes, you know what? I never looked at the sun today. What a beautiful day. I love the feeling on my skin. How does that emotionally connect to me? We have changed that way. We have a lot of things, again, cultural, historical things that we just go by because they're old. And we think that was the beginning of things, right? And ultimately, I think we have to know that just because people did it doesn't mean it's great. So a lot of the foods that we eat weren't the best foods, but they're the foods that were available, so we ate them. And we take pride in them because it's culture, and culture is great. But we have better foods we could be eating nutritionally for us, and everything in moderation. But we have to open our minds that we can break these thought patterns. There's more ways to solve the puzzle than just the linear, what everybody else says or how everybody else is doing it. If we find our own expression in our new or novel activities or things we're excited about, then we'll be able to make lots of changes. In the beginning, we'd say that health was diagnosed by doctors based on a character trait, a person's character. We have to refine our character to outgrow our challenges here. You shouldn't have the same problems at 40 that you had at 20. We should be able to outgrow these. The whole body changes, every cell in it after 9 years, completely restored, completely new. The only way the body stays in a damaged position is we're not letting it restore itself. We're holding on to something that's restricting us from going where we want to be. So I think most things are to try the new thing. Whether we know it's giving us mental health, emotional health, or physical health, try it. See, then tell me. And is it that thing? Ask somebody else. Do they get the same thing? Maybe, maybe not. But that's a conversation that leads to new things and new patterns and new thought process. And then we have those new neural connections that happen, and we start living life instead of just trying to survive.
Thank you very much, Noel, for that. We talked about how hard it is to get answers. It reminded me of my secondary. it was very hard for me to get answers that I had read before they brought in the paper. You know, when you told me that searching for answers can be so hard, I remembered I read a certain page, and then as soon as I finished reading, they brought an exam from that exact page, and I could not extract the answers from the page I had read before. It was too stressing. I got depressed. I got a mental health disorder at that moment. It was so depressing. Thank you for that. So Jerry, like I said, I'm going to ask you kind of tough questions today, because last time we kind of like navigated through and we did not like really get into it. Today we today I taking it step by step. So again to Zumba. Besides dancing, Zumba is a fitness dance, but besides dancing, is there any other how someone can do a Zumba? Let me say I cannot dance. Probably my legs are amputated. Also, my arms maybe I don't have them. I'm a person living with a disability. How do I Zumba? Because I think we all need to do these things so that we are able to maintain a better mental health, no matter how we are. How would I do that?
So, Zumba is just one part of physical fitness, yeah, and that is dance. There's so many other ways that you can get your body to move. And again, depending on where you are, on what's happening in your life, there is a way to get your body to move. If I look at an extreme case of somebody who, for example, is in a hospital, they're unable to move, the nurses will come and actually move your body. They'll lift your legs up and move them to try and keep the muscles alive, to try and get your blood circulating, to try and get your heart rate up and things like that. So anybody can do physical work. Doing housework, my God, and no, here we are so blessed that we can afford to have help in the home. Unfortunately, it makes us very lazy also, yeah? But every now and again when I have to do housework, I mean, I'm sweating buckets. And in as much as I don't like it, I say, well, at least I've gotten my exercise in. So there's so many other ways that we can move these bodies so that we get, the maximum return in terms of our wellness. So you can go for a walk. You can play with children. That's always so fantastic. Go outdoors with them and bond with them, connect with them. You can walk and go and, do some shopping. For us who have these bikes that are used for transport, my goodness, I always say we drive to work. If you park a bit far from your office, you take a bike. When you get to the office, you take a lift. And we have wheels on our office chairs. That means we can drive around the office. We really never have to walk, So it has to be very intentional for us to say, I'm going to spend 20 minutes away from everything and just walk up and down the office stairs. I'm going to spend so much time doing X, Y, Z, take my phone off or use the phone to listen to music. But Noel also alluded to something, is that sometimes we shouldn't even try, take the music out. Sometimes just do something and be completely, fully alert and aware of where you are. Listen to the sound of the birds. Because sometimes we're always lost in a different world. We're always lost in a different place. And
sorry, Jerry is having some bit of network issues.
It blocks us from that thought.
No, proceed. Jerry, please proceed. Jerry, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think Jerry is having some little bit of network issues here and there. So to people who are viewing our show, we thank you very much. Don't take
Sorry,
it
I
for
lost you
granted.
guys there for a bit.
Yeah, no, you can proceed. You can proceed. Can you hear me? Jerry, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, you can proceed. You can proceed.
It's very faint.
Can you hear me?
You're very faint.
Probably there is a problem with your network.
Barely, yes. Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So you can proceed. If you can hear me, you can proceed. You can proceed.
So I was saying, dance is really just one of the ways that someone can move their body, but we can all find a way, and it's good to, do it with somebody else. You may have the same experience as we do. After dancing, you want to open up to somebody. If you go for a walk, for example, you may, start to open up to somebody about things that you're struggling with. Maybe even, and I love how the universe supports us when we are intentional. Maybe you're struggling to think through a problem. When you speak to somebody else, they will give you the solution, and you will realize that you had the answers all along. Or they may help guide you to that answer that you have inside. Just bring it out. So I think it's really important for us to choose to do anything that we feel works at that point. And like Noel said, try one thing. If you don't like it, even just that in itself is a way for you to come out of like a funk that you're in, because you're like, oh, I didn't like that. That is telling you something about you. Okay, you're learning something new about yourself. So try something else and try another until you find what works. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry, for that input. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are coming to the close of today's show. We are 5 minutes to get to the top of the hour, so I will ask my guests to give their final remarks as regards self-care, to Zumba and mental health. So, like I started, Noel, can give your final remarks to whoever is watching this show, so something to take home so they can keep their mental health up to date.
Yes, so I think the take home, I'm going to keep a bigger picture.
Was that for me or Noel? Sorry.
It's for Noel.
We have to know what the cost of technology is. The cost of technology is taking ourselves out of the equation, which means that we're losing our connection with it, right? Knowing that, we want to do things that are more connected with each other. This allows us to see our reflection in the world and therefore make greater changes. When it comes to the body and movement, we know what feels good. We know what is restrictive. If we have to use our whole body to make a turn that our head should be able to make, then we know that we need more relaxation in the body. The one key rule about the body is it never lies to you. It will tell you the straightforward truth, and it makes no apologies. So if you're being caused pain, this means that you need to seek ways of fixing that. When we get that release, then we will find a new level of health. So always try new things and don't be afraid to be silly or learn something new.
Thank you very much. Jerry, can you give your final remarks as we close up today's show?
Yes, thank you so much. I think mine is to just let everybody know that we have a great amount of control of who we are that is within us, okay? And we just have to understand that no matter what we are going through, the responsibility of my wellness is mine. And we do not have to overthink it. We do not have to think that, oh my God, if I have a mental health problem, that is it for me. Like, where do I even start? Start by doing the very, very simple things. Move your body. Get out of, like, physically move out of your, wherever it is that you're stuck. Go somewhere else. Even if you're not ready to speak about what you're struggling with, just go and spend some time away from where you are by yourself. Nature is, for me, such a beautiful place to start, because when you sit, and I love things like a big old tree, because I always imagine this tree has been around, has seen so much. There's so much wisdom that it can give. And anyway, who takes care of that tree? Who feeds it? Who cleans it? Like I always say, the rain comes down and cleans the earth. When you sit and think about those and just allow yourself to be in those spaces, then you understand that there is a force that is bigger than all of us, that supports us at all times. So we can do so many things to support ourselves. Also helping other people. Sometimes when you come out of your space and go and help somebody else, it sort of makes you feel like, you are a worthy being because you have given to somebody else. And then you start to, give yourself some love, and then come back and do things for yourself. So we just have to know what it is. In fact, remind ourselves of what it is that we need to do, what we used to love to do, and just go back to those things without putting too much heaviness to what we need, those small things that we have to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Noel, as well as Jerry, for honoring today's invitation to be on this show. It's been very thrilling. And Jerry, when I see you next time, we shall do the Zumba live, so people can understand what exactly does Zumba entail.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
you might be very far from me, but we can do Zumba via Zoom. We can. We shall try out all those things so that people can actually understand that we are serious people we are doing this for mental health. So to whoever has been watching us from our different social media platforms on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, we thank you so much. We don't take you for granted. And thank you for joining us for today's show. I have been your host, Claire Nasasira. I hope to see you some other time, but next Saturday, be here for another thrilling show. Even at 7 p.m. today, there is another show you can watch. There's World Autism Day, so there's going to be a show on autism. Kindly tune in to watch so we all can learn something about mental health. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Yeah, we are going to sleep now. I don't know how about your side, but yeah, we are going to sleep in a few minutes. So we say good night or good evening.